Welcome back. This is our second video reviewing Art in the Bible by Francis Schaeffer. You can see I have it right here. It's a classic. We're taking time to read and give some updates since it's written over 50 years ago. It's about time we do this. Why are we doing this? We do this because we're seeking to help all of us think more deeply and more biblically about art, the Bible, creativity, and your imagination. In this video, we're going to be talking about the lordship of God and how a real healthy, proper understanding of lordship transforms our view of art. Welcome. I'm Joel Pelsu, president of Arts and Entertainment Ministries. My wife and I live in Los Angeles, where we mentor and equip Christians to be salt and light in the heart of the mainstream art world and entertainment industries. As artists ourselves, we know the challenges, we know the hard work it takes. We're here to help you as a creative professional to succeed in your creative life while growing deeper in your spiritual walk. Because your creativity and your spirituality are designed by God to work in concert with one another. That's our passion. That's your passion? Take a second, hit the like and subscribe button to our channel. And if you want to go deeper, check out our online courses. I'll leave links down below. We have courses for your calling as an artist. So many artists and creatives they don't really understand what it means to be called by God and to be an artist. And so we clarify a lot of those issues that just come up all the time. And we have a course called Catalyst to help you learn to be a better entrepreneur with confidence. See, right away on the first page, Schaeffer talks about how Christians 50 years ago had relegated art to the fringe of life. So many Christians have treated art as unimportant, at least not essential. And even so many pastors and theologians wrote and spoke as if art is not worth taking the time to address. It's not really a big deal in the Bible, and they've got that Christ against culture, so they're suspicious of art and culture, and they don't really see where it's brought in the Bible, especially if you have a church that focuses only on the New Testament, heavily dispensational, preaching only on the New Testament. Then you're never going to get these passages that speak to art and really illuminate this part of the body of Christ and who God is. So Schaeffer brings up the core issue right at the start. The one doctrine of God that's really the proper corrective to thinking anything is on the fringe of what God cares about, and that is the lordship of Christ. What is he Lord over? Either Jesus is Lord over everything and God is sovereign over everything, or he isn't. See, too many people have lived, and it's tempting to think this way. I get it. People have been tempted to live and think as if there are a few things God doesn't care about. Think about people asking if God can redeem rock and roll in the 80s and 90s. That was a big concern and worry. Can God redeem hip-hop? I have a lot of friends in the hip-hop culture, and there are plenty of pastors even saying, oh, you can't redeem it because it came from the hood, and it can be redeemed. So these parts of culture, they just think are separate and God doesn't care about. So rock and roll, hip-hop, anything else, if we think there's even one thing God is not in control over, or if we think there's one thing God cannot redeem, then think with me, then we do not believe in the God of the Bible. Full stop. Either God is sovereign over everything or he is not sovereign. That's what the word sovereign means. And I know that's a bold claim, and feel free to challenge me in the comments, but it really is that simple. And as Schaeffer states, he does a great, God is sovereign, even from the beginning of Genesis. All was under his domain, all was created by him. Even the desire to create and celebrate in our creativity is from him. So God doesn't stop caring about it. Let's just think about the Garden of Eden. Can you imagine Adam and Eve not rejoicing over the beauty around them and not wanting to make something beautiful with the pigments of the flowers and mixing the flavors of the different fruits? Can you imagine God smiling as he watched them explore all that was lovely in the garden? Creativity was there from the beginning because it's part of the image of God. And God cared about all of it in the garden and out of the garden. And then Francis gives us 4 statements based on Genesis 1 alone, showing that the whole man was given dominion and lordship. So these statements are true for all Christians, men and women. And here they are right from the booklet. 1, God made the whole world. He made it. He cares about it. He made it. 2, in Christ, the whole person is redeemed. 3, Christ is Lord of the whole person now and Lord of the whole Christian life. And 4, in the future, Christ is coming back. The body will be raised from the dead and the whole person will have a new redemption, a whole redemption, not parts of you, not most of you, all of you. Think about that. All of the things you're interested in, all the things you love, all of those things are being sanctified now and will be redeemed when Jesus comes again. The art, your relationship with your spouse and your kids and your friends, all these things, the work you do, all those things, God is redeeming all of it. As we see in Genesis 1, we are made in the image of God and given the role to care for creation and for each other as culture develops. Nothing is outside that purview. God doesn't say there's nothing else you're supposed to care for. No, we're supposed to care for all of it. And this is called by theologians creation mandate, or the cultural mandate in Genesis 1:27 and 28. So God created man in his own image. In the image of God, he created him. Male and female, he created them together. And God blessed them, and God said to them, be fruitful and multiply, fill the earth, and subdue it. God cares about all of it. Now you go care about all of it. We're doing what God designed us to do. And so we're given the responsibility for caring for the birds and the fish and the beasts of the fields and the waters and the mountains and the trees and the plants, and eventually caring for the culture that arose as we began to develop society in villages and cities. Now, Francis Schaeffer doesn't flesh this out in this booklet further. He's really focused on art. But I want to take a moment right now. God gave us the desire and capacity to govern over things, to curate gardens, to cultivate vineyards, to create new plants and animals, as we learned how to breed different cows or horses, and we figured out how to combine fruit trees by grafting one type of branch onto another tree or a vine. And God was just rejoiced. I love what you're doing with my creation. I love the creativity in these simple things. You're discovering new things to do with what I gave you, like a parent watching their child discover new ways to do things. And we discovered pigments in the flowers from which we could dye our garments and paint our homes. All of this is part of God's plan. And he gave us a responsibility to do it well, to explore it, to hone those gifts. And if we take a grand view of history and city planning, we can see God has called us to plant city parks as a blessing to everyone in society. All that beauty for everyone, rich and poor, doesn't matter. We can see the call to have beautiful architecture that's a blessing to the eye for everyone and inspiring to the soul. And we can even see that making a beautiful city center or beautiful homes in which we can practice hospitality, invite people into a beautiful home. That's a way to love your neighbor and use beauty to do it. All of this is part of the cultural mandate. And this includes making beautiful paintings, sculptures in public and private spaces, inspiring movies, great poetry, novels, as well as video games that challenge us to see the world in new ways. All of this, Adam and Eve had no idea this was coming. Moses had no idea, as he's writing some of these texts, that it could ever become what it is today. But all of it by God is anticipated. All that creativity is just going to grow and grow and develop and develop. And what I want to make clear here is that art and creativity were there from the very beginning, the very first instant, before they left the garden. They're much more complex now. We've gone from decorating a pot we cook in, or a tunic we use to keep us warm and making it pretty colors, to decorating entire cities and museums, schools, sanctuaries. You see, if we trace these gifts and callings from Genesis until now, we see the gifts and calling haven't changed so much as the context and the grand scale of resources and talents and tools we have today. Adam and Eve could never imagine a 3D printer or skyscrapers or going to the cinema and this huge screen lit up. It would be mind-boggling to them. But their desire to be creative and to express ideas in unique ways was there from the beginning. That has not changed. It's exactly the same. So as you see here, Schaeffer talks about the lordship and sovereignty of God. And then he talks about how God has given us that role under his lordship to govern and rule over creation and society. And this includes every single little aspect of society: art, creativity, imagination, and so on. You get the idea. And we must agree with Schaeffer and start here if we're going to have a view of God that is big enough to address all of the arts and entertainment and architecture and dance and cinema and even video games, right? All of these things. And so I love how Schaeffer starts here. I think I wanted to connect to you more, like even from the Garden of Eden, this was true. This has never changed. If you just follow the slow growth of creativity, you can see this is the same thing. It was a good thing from the beginning. It's still a good thing. We've developed this kind of break in our society of of the spiritual world and the physical world, which is dualism, which is a classic heresy. Other ideas that are not biblical, but they have cost us dearly when it's come to understanding art or artists or culture or creativity. And that's what Francis Schaeffer really started addressing, that we're thankful for and want to build on in this series. Now, some of you may still be saying, I'm not so sure. That was there in the garden. There's some creativity. But as we get to the New Testament, it really is about our spiritual walk. It's about our sanctification. It's about how we become more holy and righteous. And that's really a spiritual concern about our heart and our mind and our soul, not the things we do with our hands or with our work, because the world out there is fallen. Well, I hear you. Join us for the next video to see why the fall changed a lot of things, and yet some things it did not change. And what that means even in the New Testament as we get into the spiritual transformation Christ is coming for. Some things change in the New Testament, but the God of the Old Testament is the God of the New Testament, and he never changes. He's the same yesterday, today, and forever. We're going to see this whole grand picture unfurl and see that it's beautiful. It's beautiful tapestry throughout history. I want to thank you for joining me. Feel free to ask any questions in the comment section or share your observations about updating this classic. And if you're enjoying these videos, take a second, like and subscribe. And of course, we have those online courses and hundreds of hours of content, videos and blogs on our website. As always, I pray that God blesses you so that you may be a blessing to others and that your art will be salt and light in a world that desperately needs it. Watch the next video in our series right here.